give a few breaths to that fact of earth. And there is the possibility that bringing full attention to body, to breath, our own body, our own breath, can be activating, can elicit an excess of self-consciousness. If that is part of what you're noticing, turn your attention toward that fact of earth and just wonder if you can sense her body, her breath. And how might that noticing bring you into greater relationship with your body and your breath? My teacher calls this invitation goddess breath, allowing the earth to magnetize your inhale down and in, deep into the center of each cell, and feeling for the exhale as an expansion of yourself, a release of all that is not yourself. Let the inhale draw you down and in to wherever you need to be for this practice, in your body, in your heart, in your mind. And the exhale for now offers a gentle buffer between this attentiveness to yourself and everything else. The core of this practice today is finding something like evenness between what is essential and what is active or even aggravating. We are not meant to be constantly serene. And to be able to discern between what is aggravating, what is a conflict, and what is ever present and essential and true is how we digest emotions, digest experiences, and make fuel of them to be more open-hearted, to be more steady. If you are reclined, I invite you to very, very slowly find an upright position. That could be seated or standing, if standing is calling to you. I'll stay seated. Just adding a layer to our breath practice, the goddess breath. We'll practice what I very lovingly like to call the jelly goddess breath, combining these elements of the jellyfish, soft, expansive tendrils reaching down and in. Exhale, offering a little buoyancy, maybe lift through the center of the chest and head. Still with an abiding felt sense of earth and the body of earth and the breath of earth. Just notice if there's any desire to engage a bit of jelly-like movement ever so slightly in your arms. Just a little wave under armpits and elbows. Maybe you're willing to sense your belly wave and roll with the breath. Maybe this ever so slight ripple even moves up into your neck and the root of your tongue. For the next 3 rounds of your breath, draw your inhale slowly through the nostrils and then exhale through a very slightly opened mouth. Don't need to make a lot of sound here, that's not really the point, but just feel for the movement of breath across the bottom lip. Maybe even across the root of your tongue. Allowing the bones of your arms, your spine, your jaw to ripple ever so slightly as you breathe in and out. And then if eyes are closed, you can keep them closed. If you like to close them, now might be a nice time, and just find your way onto hands and knees, facing any direction. Tuck your toes under and take a slightly longer stance between your knees and your hands. Grip your mat or your floor with your hands. And as you inhale, gently push your tiptoes into the ground. Draw your chest forward, look forward. Reach your tailbone back away from your chest. And then exhale, round your spine deeply. Draw your low belly up, 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 and then ever so slightly push your butt toward your feet. Inhale forward, expanding chest, belly, pelvis. And exhale, draw in and up from the root of your body, through your belly, all the way up. 3 more breaths like this, finding a jelly-like quality to your more familiar cow-cat. Notice how it feels to leave some room in your thighs, in your upper arms, in your jaw and your tongue for a little bit more ripple. And then as an option, you can either on your exhale start to move your butt all the way back toward your heels, and or at the end of your exhale, lift your knees up into downward facing dog. On your inhale, bring your knees back down to earth. Expand pelvis, belly, chest. Exhale, round your spine strongly, butt to heels, and then maybe lift your knees and spread the backs of your legs into down dog. Just easy wave here. Feeling for the earth under your hands as you move. Just curious about what it is to give a bit more attention to the ground you hold, the space you occupy, and how that might clear some of your awareness for what your experience actually is. It's so easy to fixate on my experience, my alignment, my body sensations. So there's no surprise left anymore. You're inviting dialogue with your body rather than a one-sided argument. This is what you should be doing. This is how I'd like you to feel. Please bend to my will. The next time you're in child's pose or down dog, stay there for 3 breaths. If you've been using down dog but you want to hold child's pose, of course move into that variation, and vice versa. With your next inhale, lower your knees to the ground, and this time bring your hands in so they're directly under your shoulders. Bring your knees together to touch. You're gonna make circles with the right leg. I'll do my left just because it's closer to the screen so you can see. So on the inhale, you'll lift your knee straight out to the side, but stop when your pelvis starts to tilt. So we're not just cranking the leg as high as you can. Just lift until the bones stop your movement, and then sweep it around behind you. Complete the circle on your exhale by drawing knee toward chest, rounding your spine. Inhale, look forward, open knee to the side. Lift your chest as you sweep your knee around behind you. Exhale, complete the circle, round your back. And you'll do that 3 more times. A simple circle with your knee and thigh. Notice how much effort or bearing down kind of shows up in your chest and neck, and feel as much for that fluid movement of breath as the movement as possible. The next time your knee is drawn in toward your chest, hold it there for a moment. Tuck your left toes under, and using your hands and your left foot, push up to a down dog split with your right leg in the air. This can look a lot of different ways. This could look like keeping your left knee down and just extending your right leg straight back. If you are up in down dog split, you could stack your right hip over your left and bend your right knee. Primarily feel for the earth breathing underneath your hands. That jelly goddess breath moving through the core of your body, pelvis, ribs, and throat. Good. And with your next exhale, please step your right foot forward between your hands. Your back knee can come down or in a lunge with a straight back leg. Press your right hand against the outer line of your right leg. So it's not on your knee joint, but on your thigh. Really push in until your knee starts to cross the center line, and then push your right thigh out into your hand. Very, very active here. You'll feel activity in your right chest and activity in your right outer hip. Push hand and thigh into one another strongly. Very gently twist your chest. Push down into the ground with your left hand. And then lengthen from your back heel all the way through your neck and throat, turning your head to whatever degree opens your experience of neck and throat. So if turning your head and looking at the ceiling clamps down your experience of neck and throat, don't. Find that open center channel. Imagine if we could speak with the intelligence of our feet. Imagine if you could breathe with a sense of earth. Here's your opportunity. Find that sense of spiral. And then bring your top hand, your right hand down to the ground. Find your way to down dog or child's pose. Move or stay still in order to find your way back to the experience of earth breathing underneath your hands. Undulating, jelly-like breath through the core of your body. And then find your way to hands and knees for the other side. Grab your mat with your hands. Feel almost like you're plunging your hands into wet earth. Bring your knees together to touch. And then as you inhale, open your left knee to the side. Stop when you feel your pelvis start to twist. Circle around behind. Lift your chest, look forward. And exhale, round your spine. Bring your knee to your chest. Inhale, look forward as you sweep your left knee to the side and then around behind you, a little more lift. Exhale, knee to chest. And please do that movement 3 more times, 5 times total. And depending on your pacing, you may be finished. The end of that 3rd round, bring your left knee to your chest. Tuck your right toes under against the mat and find your way to down dog split, or just tuck your right toes under on the mat and kick your left leg straight back behind you. If you're in down dog split, it may feel good, deepening to stack your hips and bend your top knee. Again, feel into what gives you greater access to contact with the ground, contact with a rolling wave of inhale and exhale inside your body. Good. Inhale slowly. Feel free to look between your hands, and with an exhale, step your left foot between your hands. Your right knee can rest on the ground or straighten your right leg strongly. Bring your left hand to your outer left thigh and push your thigh and your hand into one another until you feel your chest engage and your outer left hip engage. Turn your ribs ever so slightly left. Push the floor with your right palm. And then bring a sense of length all the way through, up through the neck, the center of your throat. As you strengthen and straighten your back leg, let that strength enable more openness, more spaciousness in your torso. Good. Gaze down at the mat. Bring your left hand to the mat and step back to down dog or child's pose. 3 breaths. If you're in down dog, lower your knees to the ground. If you're in child's pose, come up onto all 4s, and then everyone just lower onto your right side and come to rest like you're sunbathing, resting your head in your right hand. Bend your knees to about 90 degrees. So you'll have your knees out in front of you and your heels roughly in line with your tailbone. Bring your left hand onto the outer left hip. Use this as a place to rest your hand, but also to feel for your pelvis staying just symmetrical and even. Left hip stacked right on top of right hip. And then really slowly, keeping the inner edges of your feet touching, start to lift the top leg, squeezing your glute at the very top and lower. We'll do several rounds of these clams. You want to keep your pelvis pretty still. Keep the inner edges of your feet touching the whole time. And you can count to 10. If 10 feels like too many, then do less. And then notice what you're doing with the rest of your body and see if you can soften into the ground. Let the ground do more of the holding than anywhere in your chest or your neck or your face. Belly is only slightly drawn in. Feel for a little more of the engagement, the effort in your butt cheeks. I have 2 more in my count of 10. If you've lost count, maybe you just join up with me. We're going to do a little bit more of this action, but a slightly different orientation to the ground. So, from here, bring your knees together. Keep your knees down and together and lift your feet up off the ground. Feet just a little higher than left hip. Keeping your feet together here, come back to the clams. Do up to 10. So your right thigh will stay heavy on the ground, but your shin, ankle, foot are floating in the air. Up to 10. But only do as many as you need to feel alive and stable in your body. If I'm honest, I think 5 is enough for me today. Good. When you're done with your rounds, please roll onto your back and come into reclined child's pose. Draw knees to chest, but a little wider, so maybe like knees to armpits. You can wrap your elbows around your knees and rock gently side to side. Let your head wobble back and forth. And then roll to your other side. It will be the same sequence. If you prefer to see me or see the screen, you can adjust your position. You can just roll over to the other side. So knees bent to about 90 degrees. Your knees should extend out from your hips at about a 45-degree angle and heels roughly in line with your tailbone. Rest your right hand on top of your right hip to feel that the pelvis stays stable as we move the right thigh. Slowly lift your top thigh. Keep your inner feet touching. Squeeze your cheeks, not your jaw, not your throat. And then repeat 9 more times. Belly is slightly drawn in but not hardening. And when you're done with 10 or however many rounds you're choosing to do, lower your top knee to meet the bottom And then lift both shins, both feet up until they're roughly in line with your top hip. Keep the inner feet squeezing together as you return to the clam motion. 5 times, up to 5 times, or up to 10 times. Clearly I gave away my own agenda here. I'm only doing 5. You can do as many as you like. Just move slowly enough to feel for your whole body engaging this. Can your whole body engage this? Good. And when you are through, again, roll onto your back, knees to armpits. You can grab opposite hands or wrists and gently rock side to side. You could do happy baby instead. And then please find your way forward onto hands and knees. We're just passing through. Arms and thighs straight up and down. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And then step your right foot outside your right hand. Right foot outside your right hand. Tuck your left toes under and wiggle your left foot back until you are in a runner's lunge. Now look back at your left foot. Pivot your heel in and down so it's very much like the back leg of Warrior One. Squeeze your thighs towards one another. Walk your hands forward and on a diagonal. We'll call this down dog lunge. So the top half of your body, torso, head, arms, are reminiscent of a down dog. From the waist down, like a lunge. Just pull your butt up and back, thighs towards one another. Feel for a wave-like motion in your breath. And for me, it helps to think of that front leg glute wrapping back and down towards the floor. We'll be here for another 2 full cycles of breath. We're all breathing at slightly different paces, so at the end of your second breath, find your way to down dog or hands and knees or child's pose. Feel free to sigh out and move a bit more breath through the throat as needed, as desired. And then to hands and knees for our setup. Arms straight up and down, thighs straight up and down, and then bring your left foot forward and outside your left pinky finger. Tuck your right toes under, slide your right foot back until your leg straightens like a lunge. Pivot your right heel in and down. It's the back leg of Warrior One. Walk your hands forward and slightly out on a diagonal and squeeze your thighs together. Your hips will lift slightly. Your hips will lift slightly. Good. And then feel for your top left butt cheek where we were just working, wrapping back and down towards the floor. Let your head hang. Last couple breaths here. Feel for the possibility of your pelvis drawing back and up in space while your hands reach forward and down. Nice. From here, make your way either to down dog, hands and knees, or child's pose. Allow for a slightly more vocal exhale. The possibility of that. Now, if you're in down dog, look forward, and there's the option here to hop your feet forward and slightly outside your hands to come into a squat. Doesn't need to be anything gymnastic or extravagant. You could also walk your feet forward and wide, walk your hands back and in, and drop your butt into a squat. Or from hands and knees, just tuck your toes under and pop your weight back. If squatting, balancing the weight on your feet and knees isn't working today, Baddha Konasana is a great option. If that's also not in the cards or your joints today, take a squat on your back. Good. So feel into this as the opportunity to just spread pelvic floor muscles, spread the bones of your feet, move into some depth here. Welcome a little wiggle, a little shift of weight. I'm gonna wiggle my ribs inside my thighs a little bit. Your hands can come forward, your head can hang down. And then lean your right ribs into your right inner thigh a little bit. Stretch your right arm out to the side a little bit. Then your left hand can come up onto your left knee and gently press down as you turn towards the ceiling in your chest, or even reach to the ceiling with your left fingertips. And you can just find that gross expression in your bones and muscles and then attune to how much pulse you can actually sense here. Are you shaping your body in such a way as to access more breath, or are you actually pinching your breath out? And it's okay if there's a little effort behind the breath, certainly. And just snake your way to the other side. Wiggling left ribs up against left inner thigh. Stretch your left arm across in front of your shin. Grab the floor. And then your right hand can press down onto right thigh or knee, or even stretch to the ceiling. And that could be temporary. That could just be passing through, and then let your top arm come down. And then bring both hands down to the ground in between your feet. Lift your butt about halfway, so you're not coming to a forward fold. You're just gonna come up about halfway, then wiggle your feet apart for goddess pose. Turn your toes out, ensure your knee joints point in the same direction as your middle toes. Walk your hands up onto your thighs and bring your spine upright. I'm gonna brace with my hands against my thighs here for a moment. Just let your tailbone hang like a pendulum. You might sense some nice release in your lumbar spine. And you could stay here, certainly, or push your feet down into the earth like you were trying to leave a footprint, an indentation in the ground. Lift your chest, spine vertical, and arms can reach out to the side or even stretch up overhead. Good. So arms can be kind of in goalpost position, stretching to sky, stretching straight out to the sides. As you inhale, allow your butt to drop down ever so slightly, imagining a spreading and a softening. And on exhale, allow your arms to drop, straighten your legs, and stand up. Inhale, softening and spreading. Imagine the jellyfish again. Arms like tentacles. Exhale, stand. Press down through your feet, drop up through your pelvic floor muscles. As you inhale, drop and spread. Exhale, press down through the earth and sense earth moving up into perineum, into belly, into chest. Just a few more rounds of this, feeling for the water in it as much as the earth. And if there's safety in it for you, I invite the possibility of, on your exhale, actually touching your perineum. and giving just a very subtle, gentle press. Good. Now I invite you to stabilize your physical posture. Hold the depth of the shape that is appropriate for your body today, and feel for the movement internally. Feel for the jelly goddess movement. You're welcome to maintain a gentle hold on vulva, perineum. That's not necessary. It's not going to win you any prizes. It just may be a deep invitation for you. The next time you exhale, straighten your legs and find your way to mountain pose. Mountain pose, Samasthitihi, you can use them interchangeably. They are distinct, and I'll invite the interchangeability today. Evenness in your feet. A sense of growing up and out of the earth, shaped of earth. Jelly arms layered into a sun, half sun salute. Inhale slowly, softening, spreading, reaching up. Exhale, draw up and in from your feet, up into your pelvic floor, belly as you forward fold. Knees can bend as much as you like. Inhale, hands to shins. You can bend your knees, look forward, soften and spread. Exhale, forward fold. Belly up, head down. Inhale, spread your arms, lift your chest, and reach up all the way to standing. Exhale, arms out and down, mountain pose. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, soften and spread as you reach to the sky. Exhale, draw up and into belly as you forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthen your spine parallel to the floor. Soften your chest. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, spread your wings and reach up to the sky, standing tall. Exhale, mountain pose. Last time on your own breath, rhythm, and instruction. Finally, moving into a 1/4 sun salute. Inhale, slowly reach to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, lifting up and in through pelvic floor and belly. Bend your knees a lot and walk your way into downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, lower yourself down onto your belly, onto the ground. Good. Rest your forehead on your floor, if that's all right for your neck. Reach your arms straight back toward your feet and draw your shoulder blades in toward your spine. Straighten your arms, tone your triceps. Straighten your legs, tone your glutes. And then press the tops of your feet very strongly into the ground. Lift your face, your sternum, maybe even your top ribs off the floor. As you exhale, press the tops of your feet down more. Draw your belly toward your spine. Stay for another full cycle of breath. That's in and out. And then on the inhale, lower down, turn your face to one side. You're welcome to make a pillow with your arms for your head. Vocal breath, sigh out. With repetition, there can be a little more muscular fatigue, but there's also mental clarity, or there can be muscular clarity even. So as we come into a second round of this, feel into the level of effort that's actually necessary for you to feel your breath and your pulse deeply. Stretch your arms straight back toward your feet. You're also welcome to interlace your fingers at your low back. Tone your triceps. Press the tops of your feet into the ground. Squeeze your quads. Engage your glutes. As you inhale, draw your face, your chest, your ribs up off the mat. On your exhale, you can lift your legs as well, or keep the tops of your feet pressing down strongly into the ground. One more full cycle of breath. These aren't super long holds. With an inhale, release and turn your other cheek to the mat. Maybe bringing a vocal exhale. I keep wanting to say visual exhale. I don't know what that would even be. Good. And then for our third cycle here, I invite you to come to rest your forehead on the backs of your hands. So you can look at the screen if you're not sure what I mean. Stack your hands, rest your forehead on the backs of your hands, or bring your fingertips to your head just behind your ears. Reach your elbows wide and draw them toward the ceiling. Engage the strength of your legs, your low belly, and with your next inhale, lift your face, your chest, your ribs off the floor. Your legs can lift, or you use them as roots into the ground to help you lift your chest more. Stay for a full cycle of breath. Draw your elbows to the sky, your shoulders to your spine. And then lower with an inhale. Press your hands into the ground on either side of your ribs. Tuck your toes under, bend your knees, and push up onto all fours. Wag your tail side to side a bit here. Take your right hand and thread it behind your left wrist. Lower your head, your shoulder down onto the mat. If that twist isn't appropriate for your neck, your back, anything at all, any reason, just bring your right arm across your chest. You're kneeling. Bring your right arm across your chest and draw your forearm in with your opposite forearm. If you're in the twisted child's pose, you can press the ground with your top hand. Lean your bottom shoulder into the floor, and again, find space in your throat. Allow the twist to just be what is happening by virtue of the shape you've made, instead of craning your neck toward the ceiling. Feel the ground holding you. And then what becomes clear when you give yourself permission to be held, to be stable at a very basic level. With your top hand, press into the ground and come up. Wag your tail, vocal breath. And then change sides, please. Thread your left arm behind your right wrist. Use your top hand to press down into the ground, open up the space between your shoulders, and lean your head into the ground. Feel the earth cradling your head. With your top hand, press into the ground. Come up onto your hands and your knees. Wag your tail. Sway your spine. And then please find your way onto your back. Lay down on your back, bend your knees, and bring your heels in close to your butt. Stretch your arms down alongside your body, and as you stretch your arms down alongside your body, bring your shoulders up towards your ears ever so slightly. Press your shoulders, your head, and the soles of your feet firmly down into the ground and lift your pelvis for bridge pose. Once your pelvis is lifted off the ground, don't turn your head. Keep your gaze toward your nose or the ceiling. Press your head, the back of your skull, straight back into the ground. Maybe roll your shoulder blades in and underneath you even more until your hands interlace. That's an option. Keep rooting into your feet, trying to make full footprints in your mat. And as you inhale, spread wide through the core of your body, pelvis, belly, chest. On exhale, lengthen this spread of spine from tail to neck. I love the image of this shape, this bridge, as bridging the intense wisdom, intelligence of the body back to the brain, back to our conscious mind. So press your head back into the floor so your throat can stay spacious, and you just flood your brain, your conscious mind, with this infinite intelligence of your guts, of your reproductive organs, the earth as it pumps through your feet and legs. If your hands are bound, please release them. Start to widen your shoulders and lower your spine down. Either draw your knees toward your chest and rock yourself up to sit, or roll slowly to your side. If there's any tenderness in your spine, I recommend slowly to the side and press up to a seat. You'll take a straddle position with your legs. And I just tend to stick with a 90-degree angle in my legs. See if you can sense your sits bones moving straight down into earth. Bring a little tone to your quads, a little tone to your ankles. Spread your toes. And then rest your hands either on your knees or cup them in between your legs so knuckles rest on the floor. We'll practice 5 rounds of Shitali breath here. That's either inhaling through a rolled tongue, or if your tongue doesn't roll, purse your lips like you're sipping through a straw. That's your inhale. And on this inhale, you're going to extend your upper spine. Lift your chin without pinching your neck. And on exhale, close your lips. Hum softly as you bow your chin toward your chest. So the inhale, we're doing a gentle spinal extension. Exhale, gentle spinal flexion, just upper spine. Inhale is Shitali. And exhale is audible, the hum and vibration in the roof of your mouth. 5 times. After your 5 rounds of breath, I invite you to fold forward about 50% of your capacity. So whatever your level of flexibility is, move into half of that. Re-engage the strength of your legs. push the floor with your hands and let your upper body soften a bit. We're just going to go to 50% today of our max stretch. And if you find that holding that 50% position puts strain on your low back, then instead of pushing your arms or having your arms extended out in front of you, you might fold your arms so your elbows rest on your thighs, or use a prop. You could use a block or a bolster if you have that nearby. If you don't have that nearby, reach for your shins or your feet and almost round your spine. Think of a cat stretch here. Counting down from 3 on your exhales. Finish 3 more breaths here, using that final exhale to exit the pose. And from your upright seat, gather any props that would make resting on the floor even 10% more comfortable. A little cushion for your neck, a blanket for your body, a weight for your pelvis, a drop of an essential oil on your neck. What would bring you into even 10% deeper rest than if you didn't have it? We'll spend about 4 minutes in our Shavasana today, which is pretty short for a Shavasana. If you want or need to stay there longer, please do that. Just know that I know this is a short Shavasana. Bring your attention to the sense of the earth at your back. Feel for the way the earth breathes. Allow that subtle pulse to bring back felt sense of your own breath. And then that fact of the earth being so much water. Feel for the ripple, wave-like motion of your inhale. The buoyant release of your exhale. Curling and stretching fingers. Spreading and stretching toes. Allow these initially small and spontaneous movements to activate some awakening in your joints and muscles, just enough to make your way to an upright seat. I invite you to lay your hands somewhere along the central channel of your body between pubic bone and third eye, anywhere along that axis. Notice as you rest your hands what becomes immediately clear about what was needed or wanted with this touch. What parts of you are calling to be expressed today. And we'll seal this portion of our practice moving into our expression through mantra. A mantra called the Param Jyoti mantra, the Supreme Light mantra. This is the unification of our dark and our light. The Hamsa, sacred swan, who crosses from one bank of the river to the other seamlessly, gliding effortlessly, bridging the gap, the perceived gap between our front and our back, our inner and our outer, our up and our down, our human and our holy. The mantra goes, Om Shrim Hamsaha Soham Swaha. Om Shrim, the supreme light, the goddess Lakshmi. Hamsaha, bring me across the river of duality. I am that divine unity, and so it is. We'll do a slow call and response version, and then 3 more complete. You can hum along, do your best, piece it together, or simply listen. Om Shrim Hamsaha Soham Swaha. 3 times together. Inhale. Om Shrim Hamsaha Soham Swaha. Om Shrim Hamsaha Soham Swaha. Om Shrim Hamsaha Soham Swaha. And as you fold your hands together in Anjali Mudra, tune into what is calling to be bridged What gap is longing to be bridged? What in you is calling your attention to be known more deeply? Giving full trust to this inner wisdom in your body, moving through your hands. I invite you to your page, to your canvas, to your palette. We'll spend the next 15-20 minutes or so in image making practice. So I had the intention of having a little music for you all, but I don't know if this is going to work. So if it's distracting, just wave at me and say, no, thank you, that's terrible. Can you all hear that?